Hello students, we'll continue the next classes. So again we are repeating from a word called as biology. Biology is nothing but it is the study of life, or it is the study of living things. So this word they are used from the primary classes, living thing. But as we go for further classes, thing should not be used. So here living things cannot be used. You must and should use a word living organism. I repeat this. Biology is a branch of science. It deals with the study of living organisms. It is not living things. So here thing do not have a life. So it is not the study of living and non-living. It is only the study of life. Hence we call biology is nothing but study of living organisms. Now we will step into characters of living organisms. So we will start with some of the characters. Characters of living organisms. So here we will start with the first character called as cell. So we know that all the living organisms are made up of cells. Without cell, there is no life at all. So cell may be defined as it is the structural functional unit of an organism. Cell is defined as structural functional unit of an organism. So without cell, no life is present. So all the living organisms are either made up of single cell or many cells are there. So cell is a must. So this is one. Now we go for the other word. The cell is of different types. One of the cell is called as prokaryotic cell. So the word prokaryotic cell, here again it is a Greek word. Pro means primitive. Pro means primitive or poorly developed. Poorly developed. Carry on. Carry on means nucleus. So it is nothing but study of primitive nucleus or poorly developed nucleus is called as prokaryotic cells or prokaryotes. So this is one. So we will take one example called as bacteria. So in a bacteria there is a presence of double-stranded circular DNA. Here the genetic material here is called as double-stranded circular DNA. This double-stranded circular DNA is also called as naked DNA. Naked DNA, it is nothing but a primitive DNA. Why? Because here the genetic material is not covered by the nuclear membrane. Hence it is called as naked or it is called as double-stranded circular DNA. So this primitive nucleus comes under prokaryotic cell. So this is bacteria is one of the example for prokaryotic cell. So we will go for the next one called as eukaryotic cell. Eukaryotic cell is again a Greek word. The word eu is called as true or well developed, well organized is called as you. True or well developed, well organized is called as you. Karyon means nucleus. Karyon means nucleus. So it is nothing but well developed nucleus. So well organized nucleus is called as eukaryotic cells. So this eukaryotic cells are present in a highly organized cells. Highly organized individuals, there is a presence of eukaryotic cell. So we will take one of the example called as a plant cell. So in a plant cell, there is a presence of the outermost layer is called as cell wall. Here, the outermost layer is called as cell wall. Next to the cell wall is plasma membrane. So here we use the word plasma membrane. So the second layer is plasma membrane. So here the space present inside the cell, that is called as cytoplasm. This cytoplasm has all the cytoplasmic organelles. Here, well developed means all the cytoplasmic organelles are present in the cytoplasm, hence it is also called as well developed. Nucleus is also well developed. Whereas in a prokaryotic cell, the cytoplasmic organelles will be absent, but in a eukaryotic cell, cytoplasmic organelles like mitochondria, Golgi bodies, endoplasmic reticulum, all these are present. So here, one of this is called as mitochondria, Golgi bodies, endoplasmic reticulum, all these are present. Along with this, there is a well-developed nucleus is also present. Here, the word well-developed nucleus means it should have four components. One called as the outermost layer of a nucleus is called as nuclear membrane. The outermost layer of a nucleus is called as nuclear membrane. So this is called as nuclear membrane, or it is called as nuclear envelope. Nuclear envelope or nuclear membrane. Next, the space present inside the nucleus. The space present inside the nucleus is called as nuclear sac. It is called as nuclear sac. And here it has a presence of small granular-like structure, and this granular-like structure is called as nucleoli. Nucleoli. Along with that, there is a presence of genetic material, there is a presence of chromosomes, there is a presence of chromatin network, there is a presence of chromatin network or well-developed genetic material. So when a cell has all these four components, nuclear membrane, nuclear sac, nucleoli, chromatin network, and all it is present in a cell, this type of cell is called as well-developed nucleus, or it is called as true nucleus, or it is nothing but eukaryotic cell. Same way in the animal cell also. Animal cell also, the outermost layer of animal cell is called as cell membrane. Cell membrane, and it has cytoplasm. With all the cytoplasmic organelles have been present, along with that, here there is a presence of well-developed nucleus with all the four components. One is called as nuclear membrane, and the other one is called as nuclear membrane. The other one is called as nucleoli and nuclear sac, and there is a presence of chromatin network. Like this, all the components are also present in the animal cell. So here, we know that there is a major difference between a plant cell and animal cell. There is a presence of chloroplast. Here, when a chloroplast is present in a cell, we call this type of a cell is called as plant cell. Whereas, in the animal cell, chloroplast is absent, cell wall is absent, and it also has the presence of centrioles. So here, a pair of centrioles are being present in the animal cell. So whereas in the plant cell, centrioles are absent, in a plant cell, chlorophyll, chloroplast is present, and in animal cell it is absent. So there is a well-developed cell. Hence we call this as a eukaryotic cell. So we will continue with the other characters of a cell. So I have just explained prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. The word prokaryotic cells are always present in the unicellular organisms, poorly developed cells. That is prokaryotic cell. Eukaryotic cells are always present in a well-developed cells or well-developed organisms like higher plants, higher animals, humans. In all this, eukaryotic cells are there. Now, we'll go for the other word. The cells are of three types. The first one is called as, one of the cell is called as acellular. One of the cell is acellular and the second one is called as unicellular and the third one is multicellular. Now, we'll start with acellular. As I defined, all the living organisms must and should have a cell. Cell is structural and functional unit of life. Here, the word acellular, the cell is absent. The cell is absent, for that we use the word acellular. So, when we say life is there, cell is a must. Life is there means cell is a must. So, here, without cell, no living organisms are being present. So, here we can give example called as virus. So, we know that virus is called as living particles. Living particles are living entities. This virus do not have a cell, but the virus is ultra microscopic. The meaning of ultra microscopic, they can be seen only under the electron microscope. Once this virus enters into a host cell, they start multiplying, they start replicating and causes diseases. But outside the host, outside an organism, totally the virus is dead. So virus do not have a cell. That can be given example for acellular, but all the living organisms must and should have a cell. Now we go for unicellular. The word unicellular, it is always called as single cell, one cell, or the organism is made up of only one cell, hence it is called as unicellular. Here the cell may be prokaryotic cell or eukaryotic cell, but it is made up of only one cell. Here, when we use the word prokaryotic cell, again bacteria can be given example, or we can use the word yeast can be given for a unicellular eukaryotic cell. Unicellular eukaryotic cell yeast and bacteria for a prokaryotic cell. Like this, an organism is made up of only one cell. For that we use the word unicellular. Now we go for a word called as multicellular. The word multicellular is nothing but many cells. An organism is made up of many cells. So there are thousands of cells are being present. So an organism is made up of thousands or billions of cells. For that we use the word multicellular. For example, when you take a human, humans always start their life. Humans always take their origin or start their life from a single cell, and this single cell is always called as zygote. Humans always take their origin. The first life starts by a single cell called as zygote. This zygote undergoes repeated division to produce a ball of cells, to produce a mass of cells, and this ball of cells or a mass of cells is called as embryo. So the single cell undergoes repeated mitotic divisions to give rise to embryo. This embryo later on it is converted to fetus. Or I repeat this, the embryo is a ball of cells, mass of cells. Synthesis of embryo, formation of embryo is called as embryogenesis. This embryogenesis gives rise to 3 germ layers. The embryo further gives rise to 3 germ layers called as ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. The ectoderm gives rise to some organs. It gives rise to some organs. Mesoderm gives rise to some organs, and endoderm gives rise to some organs, and finally it is converted to a fetus. So inside the mother's womb, the ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm helps in the formation of organs, and this leads to the formation of fetus. After the delivery. After the fetus comes out, we use the word child. Like this, the ball of cells are being giving rise to fetus. After delivery, we use the word child. Like this, an organism is made up of many cells. Here, I use the word zygote is single cell. This leads to the formation of 80,000 billion cells. Here, in a normal adult, the person has 80,000 billion cells are being present. Like this, some of the questions will be asked in your NEET. So, in NEET they ask, how does their life start? Means the life starts from a single cell, and this single cell is a zygote, and it is always a diploid. The meaning of diploid, two sets of chromosomes are there. From this single cell, the normal adult cell will have 80,000 billion cells of it present. Like this, there are many cells of it present. Like this, single cell, here cell is absent, single cell, multicellular organisms of it present. So we continue with the next ones. As I said, cell is a structural functional unit. Now we are classifying the cells. The first one is all the living organisms are made up of cells. So when there is a presence of cell, we use the word cellular grade of organization. So the word cellular grade of organization means an organism is made up of only cells. Here the cell is present and it forms a group of cells, but it never forms a tissue. Only group of cells are there, many cells are there, but still we use the word cellular grade of organization. We will go for the second one, called as tissue grade of organization. Tissue grade of organization. The meaning of tissue grade of organization: a group of cells helps in the formation of a tissue. I repeat this: tissue is nothing but a group of cells which have similar structure, similar function, similar origin. Only then we use the word tissue. I repeat this: tissue is nothing but a group of cells which have a similar structure, similar function, similar origin. Then we use the word tissue. So a group of cells helps in the formation of a tissue. So these tissues are present both in plants and animals. As I said earlier, there are 5 types of tissues present in the humans, like epithelium tissue. I have already repeated this. Epithelium tissue. The second one is called as connective tissue, and the third one is called as fluid tissue, and fourth one is called as muscular tissue, and fifth one is called as nervous tissue. Nervous tissue. So like this, there are 5 tissues are there in the animals. When you go for the plants, there are 2 words. One is called as meristematic tissues, and the other word called as permanent tissue. So whereas in the permanent tissues, again it is classified into simple permanent tissue. Simple permanent tissue has parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Now we go for complex permanent tissue in plants. So complex permanent tissue is xylem. So you already know about xylem. Xylem is called as water conducting tissue, and it conducts the water from the root system to shoot system. So it is called as water conducting tissue or xylem. Xylem even may be called as wood. This you are going to study in further classes. So xylem is also called as wood. We go for the second one called as phloem. Phloem is called as food conducting tissue. The food is conducted in all the directions, upward to downwards, from leaf to shoot or leaf to root, root to shoot also, as well as it moves radial also. So the movement of food in all the directions, so it is called as food conducting tissue, or it is also called as mast. It is also called as leptome. So phloem, mast, or it is called as leptome. All these are nothing but phloem. So like this, the tissue grade of organizations are being present. Now we'll go for the third one called as organ grade of organization. Organ grade of organization. So here we know that a group of tissues helps the formation of various organs. A group of tissues or different types of tissues helps in the formation of organs. Like this, we have various organs in the body. For example, when you take a human's heart, heart is made up of many different types of cells as well as organs. Pancreas, kidney, liver. In all this, we have various types of tissue. For example, when you take small intestine. So we know that in a human digestive system, there is a presence of small intestine as well as large intestine. Here, the small intestine alone, when you take a section of a small intestine and see this alone has all the 5 types of tissues. Small intestine alone has all the 5 types of tissues in the small intestine. So we say a group of tissues helps in the formation of organs. Like this, the cell has cellular grade of organization, tissue grade of organization, organ grade of organization. This we are going to study in detail in further classes.